What links the three of those, as well as this mayor, is that in addition to corruption charges, they're also being investigated and or charged and or convicted of sex crimes. And now we get on to the other major problem plaguing Israeli society that we never seem to hear about, which is rape culture. And it runs deep. And it's not only the mayors, it's also the members of Knesset. Just in the last couple of years, again, and we've had, in the last year, we're talking about this member of Knesset, this member of Knesset, this member of Knesset, this member of Knesset. And it's not only in the political realm, it's also in general society, talking about CEOs of major Israeli companies, talking about deans of Israeli universities, talking about the Prime Minister's office himself. Right around Netanyahu, we're talking about his driver, convicted of raping no small amount of young girls. Talking about his spokesperson, accused of rape. Talking about 2 of his chiefs of staff, accused of sex crimes. And what happens? So there's a slight amount of embarrassment. It's kind of embarrassing to keep working for Netanyahu when you've been accused of serious sex crimes, so they bow out quietly. And then in no time, Netanyahu's rehired them and appointed them to other posts. And then again, the same person, Gil Shefer, is again accused of more sex crimes against other women. So this is the situation where the message from the top is, it's all good. Women's bodies are yours for the taking if you're powerful enough, even when you're at the very pinnacle of power. Israeli President Moshe Katsav, convicted rapist, served time in jail. Once he's released from jail, he comes home to his hometown and he's feted with street party, and people are, greeting him with great joy. It's like, where's the social stigma? Well, courts decided that despite the fact that he was not remorseful, despite the fact that he continued to try to shame these women that he'd attacked, still they said, okay, we're going to let you off early. We're going to shorten your your jail sentence and allow you to go home. That very same day that they did so, the courts also decided not to shorten the sentence of this man who had been raped repeatedly. And finally, after being raped several times and on another rape attempt, he then killed his rapist. And he did express remorse for that. But though he did express remorse for killing the person who had raped him already several times, the courts refused to reduce his 20-year sentence. So rapists, it's all good. Get raped, sorry, we can't help you. Now, I will admit, and I'm happy to admit, that in the last year we have the highest proportion of parliamentarians that are women, more than ever before. It's not where we need to be. Today, about 25% of the Knesset are women. Of the 120 members of the Knesset, approximately 30 of them are female. That's good. That's more. It's not nearly where it needs to be. It needs to be double that, but it's better than we've seen up until now. Great. Unfortunately, almost all of those women report that they have been sexually harassed or sexually assaulted, and a couple of them saying that's even happened while they've been members of Knesset. So this problem is endemic in Israeli society. What are the police doing about it? What are we doing to stop it? I'm sad to say, in the last few years alone, how many top cops? Now, hold on a second, let me just scale that back. When I say top cops, I'm talking about either the commander of the police of an entire Israeli city, or the commander of the national police force for an entire division, like the drug division or the corruption division or whatever. So top cops, just in the last couple of years, top Israeli police commanders who have been, again, either investigated or charged or convicted of sex crimes. This top cop, this top cop, this top cop, this top cop, this top cop. It's an incomplete list, all of these. Now, keep in mind, what do they have to say for themselves? Instead of combating the rape epidemic, they're contributing to it. And what do they say in response? So they use the Cranberry Defense. This is what I call it. I'm not talking about the fruit, the cranberry. I'm talking about the Irish rock band, the Cranberries. I don't know if any of you remember them. Their first album, their debut album, was called Everybody Else Is Doing It, So Why Can't We? And that's essentially the defense that we hear from these top cops. So we have Niso Shacham, who was the commander of police of Jerusalem. And when it came to court, and he was being charged with these sex crimes, what he said in his defense was that his actions were in keeping with the conventional norms accepted by the police, routine and common. In other words, why are you getting mad at me? What I did, everyone was doing it. Why should I be singled out? Why should I be punished for something that everyone was doing? Okay, that's the chief of police of Jerusalem. Now, of course, when we go to the Israeli political sphere, right, then there's a different narrative. What do we do when we have a problem in Israeli society? You guys already know, I've already blame the Arabs, right? So again, rape it's not a problem that we need to deal with. It can be blamed on the Arabs. How does this work? So in the Knesset, just a couple months ago, I was sitting in a Knesset session, and this right-wing legislator, Oded Forel, comes in and he says that the rape culture in Israel, it's about Palestinians raping Jews. There's a plague of rape being perpetrated by Palestinians on Jewish women. It's just like there's military attacks, Arab on Jew. So there is a wave of Palestinians raping Jewish women in order to attack Jews, in order to harm Jews. This is the narrative that he's trying to put forward. And he says that these are a terror attack in every possible way. He says they're a crime against humanity. Blame the Arabs. Well, the only problem is the police were at the same Knesset session, and the police commander who is in charge of sex crime division, Ayelet Ornstein, she said herself, we examined the data, and the total sex crimes in the mixed cities is decreasing. And furthermore, she said, and when we focus on the sex crimes which were committed by non-Jews, there is a pattern of decrease. Okay? Again, the police are saying, yeah, that's right. Everyone else is doing it. It's not just Arabs. Everyone is doing it. But to the right-wing legislators, it's blame the Arabs. And this, now we get to what is a sad and sick aspect of Israeli society, which is the war on miscegenation. Blaming rape on race mixing. Blaming rape on race. This is how it goes down. And it's not only the right-wing backbenchers who do this, it's even Netanyahu himself. So a few months ago, this man, Palestinian man, was accused of rape, came out. They said that he brutally raped an Israeli woman, and so it was reported on, and he was arrested, and people were scandalized by the story, and now, finally, we hadn't heard anything from Netanyahu for years and years of this rape epidemic. Finally, he comes out with a statement saying, where were you all this time? Why aren't you saying anything? Why aren't you doing anything about this? Look at this, at Palestinian on Jew crimes and rape crimes. Where is everyone? Why aren't you doing anything about it? Well, in response to that, one feminist legislator, former head of the opposition, was disgusted. Sheli Yachimovich, she said to him, be ashamed, Prime Minister. Zero empathy for rape victims until there was a window of opportunity to incite. All those years, you did nothing about this rape epidemic. It's only when you thought you could blame it on Palestinians that you come out with a statement. Well, sure enough, within a few days' time, the police spoke and said that no. In fact, it was consensual sex that had gone on. No rape had occurred. What had happened was once the woman's parents learned that their daughter had had sex with a Palestinian man, they were so outraged and disgusted by this that to cover up, they said, okay, no, we're going to tell the police that it was rape. We're going to accuse this man of rape. And this way they could, hide their shame behind the man. And they knew, frankly, that there's so much racism against Palestinian folk, and there's so much anti-miscegenation sentiment that they could get away with it. Of course, after a few days, came out, nothing of the sort had occurred.